Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about something that goes far beyond the world of fitness. It's about your longevity, your independence, and the vibrant life you deserve. Let's start by framing the crisis. Sarcopenia. This is the age-related decline in muscle mass and strength. And it doesn't start in your 60s or 70s. It begins as early as your 30s. Left unchecked, it can leave you feeling weak, unstable, and more vulnerable to chronic disease. Sarcopenia is a silent crisis that starts to unfold in our bodies long before we notice it. Often beginning in our early 30s, it's the gradual and insidious loss of muscle mass and strength. While it might seem like a minor inconvenience at first, maybe you can't lift as much as you used to or find it harder to recover from workouts, it's actually a profound shift that can have far-reaching consequences for health and longevity. This progressive decline in muscle tissue doesn't just affect the size of your arms or the shape of your legs. It's deeply tied to your ability to perform the most basic functions of daily life, from climbing stairs to carrying groceries to simply getting up out of a chair. The troubling thing about sarcopenia is that it often flies under the radar. Because it develops slowly over years or decades, many people write off their gradual weakening as just part of getting older. But there's more to the story. When muscle tissue declines, so does your metabolic health. Muscle is a highly active tissue. It burns calories, regulates blood sugar, and helps buffer inflammation. When you lose muscle, your metabolic rate drops, making it easier to gain fat and harder to maintain a healthy weight. Blood sugar regulation becomes more difficult, increasing your risk for insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Beyond the metabolic impacts, there's a profound connection between sarcopenia and frailty. Sarcopenia is one of the key drivers of what researchers call the frailty syndrome, a state of reduced resilience that makes you more vulnerable to falls, fractures, and hospitalization. Studies show that people with sarcopenia have a significantly higher risk of disability and mortality. And it's not just physical health. Loss of muscle also affects your mental and emotional well-being. Feeling physically weak can erode your confidence and sense of independence, which can spiral into social withdrawal and even depression. This decline isn't inevitable, though. It's driven by a combination of factors, including decreased physical activity, hormonal shifts like the decline in testosterone and estrogen, and nutritional changes, particularly not getting enough protein and key amino acids. The good news is that because these factors are modifiable, sarcopenia is not a destiny. The earlier you recognize its impact and take action, the more you can preserve and even rebuild muscle. It's also crucial to understand that sarcopenia doesn't just affect older adults. In fact, the process begins much earlier than many realize. Research shows that by the time we're in our 40s, we can lose as much as 1% of our muscle mass per year if we're not actively doing something to counteract it. This means that the habits we build in midlife around exercise, nutrition, and recovery can have an outsized impact on our future strength and independence. Ultimately, sarcopenia is a silent epidemic with the power to limit our potential and shorten our health span, the years we live free of disease and disability. But it's also one of the most reversible aspects of age. By understanding how and why sarcopenia happens, we give ourselves the power to take targeted action. Instead of accepting muscle loss as an inevitable part of aging, we can treat it as a challenge to be met head-on, armed with knowledge and the tools that science provides. In doing so, we're not just saving our muscles, we're investing in our independence, vitality, and the full, active lives we deserve. Muscle is often viewed through a narrow lens, typically in the context of appearance or athletic performance. However, emerging science reveals a much broader role for muscle, one that positions it as a true longevity organ. Far beyond aesthetics, muscle is a crucial player in the orchestration of health and vitality throughout the entire body. At its core, muscle acts as a metabolic engine. It's responsible for a substantial portion of your resting energy expenditure, meaning it dictates how efficiently your body burns calories even when you're not moving. This metabolic power goes far beyond weight management. Skeletal muscle plays a vital role in regulating blood glucose levels because it's the largest site for glucose disposal in response to insulin. In fact, the more muscle you have, the better your body can clear glucose from the bloodstream, helping to prevent insulin resistance and the cascade of health issues that stem from it, like type 2 diabetes. But muscle's role in longevity doesn't stop at metabolism. It's also a powerful endocrine organ, When you engage your muscles, whether through strength training, hiking, or even heavy gardening, your muscles release signaling molecules called myokinins. These molecules travel through your bloodstream and communicate with other organs, including your brain, your liver, and even your immune system. Myokinins have been shown to reduce inflammation, support cardiovascular health, and even influence cognitive function by promoting neuroplasticity in the brain. This means that every time you work your muscles, you're not just building strength, you're creating a ripple effect of health-promoting signals throughout your body. In addition, muscle is a reservoir of amino acids that your body can tap into during times of stress or illness. During periods of injury, illness, or recovery from surgery, muscle acts as a crucial storehouse of resources that help your body heal. Without sufficient muscle mass, your body struggles to mount an effective response to these challenges, leading to longer recovery times and increased vulnerability. Muscle is also intimately connected to your ability to live independently as you age. It's what allows you to perform the essential activities of daily life: lifting, bending, climbing stairs, and even balancing. Strong muscles provide stability for your joints and help prevent falls, which are a major cause of injury and loss of independence in older adults. In fact, muscle strength has been consistently linked to lower mortality risk, regardless of other health factors. Interestingly, there's also evidence to suggest that muscle health is intertwined with brain health. Some of the same myokinins that muscles produce during exercise have neuroprotective effects, stimulating the growth of new neurons and enhancing communication between brain cells. This connection highlights that muscle isn't just about moving your body, it's about supporting a healthy, resilient mind. All of this points to a single powerful idea: muscle isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's a reserve of strength, a metabolic safeguard, and a communication hub that speaks to every other system in your body. As we age, maintaining muscle isn't just about preserving function, it's about maintaining the very fabric of our health and longevity. Muscle truly is a central player in the quest for a longer, healthier life, and understanding its role empowers us to take proactive steps to build and maintain it. In doing so, we're not just building a stronger body, we're laying the foundation for a more vital and independent future. Among the many nutrients that contribute to muscle health and longevity, one stands out as the linchpin: protein. And when we talk about protein, we're really talking about its building blocks, amino acids. One amino acid in particular, leucine, has emerged as the master trigger for muscle protein synthesis, the process by which your body repairs and builds new muscle tissue. Leucine is an essential amino acid, meaning your body can't produce it on its own, it has to come from your diet. What makes leucine unique is its role as a potent activator of the mTOR pathway. mTOR, mammalian target of rapamycin, is a key regulator of cell growth and muscle protein synthesis. Think of it as the molecular on switch for muscle growth. When you consume leucine-rich protein sources, you activate mTOR, sending a clear signal to your muscle cells: it's time to grow, repair, and get stronger. This anabolic trigger is especially important because of the way muscle protein synthesis and breakdown work. Your muscles are in a constant state of turnover, balancing the processes of building up and breaking down. To gain or even maintain muscle mass, you need to stimulate muscle protein synthesis more than break. Leucine's ability to push this balance in favor of synthesis makes it a cornerstone nutrient in the fight against sarcopenia. What's fascinating is that not all protein is created equal in terms of leucine content. Animal-based proteins, like whey, eggs, dairy, poultry, beef, and fish, are particularly rich in leucine. Whey protein, for example, has one of the highest leucine contents of any food source, making it an especially effective tool for boosting muscle growth after exercise. Plant-based proteins, while still valuable, often contain lower amounts of leucine, which can mean plant-based eaters need to pay closer attention to the quality and quantity of their protein sources. It's also important to understand that there's a threshold of leucine needed to flip the switch on muscle growth. Research suggests that about 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal is necessary to fully activate muscle protein synthesis. For most people, that translates to about 30 grams of high-quality protein in a single meal. Consuming small amounts of protein spread too thinly across the day often doesn't reach this threshold, which is why the idea of protein distribution across meals is so critical. Leucine's power extends beyond just older adults. It's equally important for younger people looking to maximize their training results. But it becomes especially critical as we age, because aging muscles become less sensitive to these anabolic signals, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. In other words, older adults need an even stronger signal, more leucine, to get the same muscle-building response. That's why dietary strategies that prioritize leucine-rich protein become essential for anyone wanting to stay strong and vital as the years go by. The science around leucine is robust and growing, reinforcing a simple but profound takeaway: this one amino acid has an outsized impact on your muscle health and overall resilience. By prioritizing leucine-rich protein sources at every meal, you're not just meeting a basic dietary need, you're actively sending your body the signal to rebuild, renew, and stay strong. It's a powerful example of how nutrition can be leveraged as a targeted tool in the fight against sarcopenia, unlocking the body's natural capacity for growth and vitality. Timing and distribution of protein intake are two critical elements that often get overlooked when it comes to muscle health. Many people focus only on the total amount of protein they consume in a day, but how that protein is spread out across meals can make a significant difference. This is because your muscles require a consistent, repeated signal to grow and repair, and this signal comes from hitting the leucine threshold at each meal. When you eat protein, especially one rich in leucine, you trigger muscle protein synthesis. But this process isn't constant. It's more like a light switch that gets turned on after you eat and then gradually fades. Research shows that this anabolic response to protein is transient, usually peaking within a few hours after a meal. If you miss the opportunity to reach that leucine threshold with each meal, you're essentially letting hours of potential muscle-building activity slip by. This insight has given rise to the concept of protein distribution, which emphasizes consuming enough high-quality protein at every meal, not just at dinner. In fact, studies have shown that people who eat the bulk of their protein in one meal tend to have lower muscle protein synthesis rates over a 24-hour period than those who distribute protein more evenly. In practical terms, this means that breakfast and lunch are just as important as dinner for promoting muscle health. For most people, aiming for around 30 grams of high-quality protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner is a solid starting point. This amount typically provides the 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine needed to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis. While exact numbers can vary based on body weight, activity level, and age, the principle holds: protein intake should be balanced throughout the day to keep your muscles in a state of growth and repair. The timing of protein intake relative to exercise is another key factor. Exercise, especially resistance training, creates a temporary window of heightened muscle sensitivity to protein, often referred to as the anabolic window. After a workout, your muscles are like sponges, primed to absorb nutrients and rebuild stronger than before. Consuming a protein-rich meal or shake within a couple of hours after exercise can amplify this response, leading to greater muscle gains over time. It's also worth noting that protein distribution becomes even more important as we age. Older adults face anabolic resistance, where their muscles don't respond as robustly to protein as younger people's do. This means that simply eating a high-protein dinner won't cut it. Older adults need to ensure they're hitting that leucine threshold multiple times a day to effectively counteract muscle loss. Practical strategies for achieving optimal protein distribution can be: start your day with a protein-rich breakfast. Think eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie. Make sure lunch isn't just carbs and vegetables. Add a substantial portion of fish, poultry, or legumes. And cap off your day with a balanced dinner that includes a high-quality protein. By paying attention to not just how much protein you eat, but when and how it's consumed, you're giving your muscles the best chance to grow and thrive. In the end, protein timing and distribution aren't just abstract nutritional concepts. They're actionable strategies that can help you build and maintain the muscle you need for strength, health, and longevity. By adopting this approach, you're not only feeding your muscles, you're feeding your future resilience and independence. While nutrition is the fuel and the building blocks for muscle health, exercise is the signal that tells your body to use those resources to build stronger, more resilient muscle tissue. Specifically, resistance training acts as a powerful stimulus that primes your muscles to respond to the amino acids and protein you consume. Without this signal, even the best nutrition plan can't fully unlock your muscle building potential. When you engage in resistance exercise, whether it's lifting weights, doing bodyweight exercises, or using resistance bands, you create a controlled stress on your muscle fibers. This mechanical tension is a key driver of muscle protein synthesis. Essentially, you're sending a message to your body: these muscles need to be stronger and more capable to meet future challenges. This is what's known as the principle of progressive overload, which simply means that muscles grow when they're consistently challenged in new ways. This interplay between resistance training and nutrition is a beautiful example of synergy. Think of exercise as the master key that unlocks the door for protein to do its work. Resistance exercise increases the sensitivity of muscle cells to leucine, the key amino acid trigger for muscle protein synthesis. After a workout, your muscles are primed to soak up those amino acids and use them to repair and grow new muscle fibers. In fact, the anabolic response to protein is amplified for several hours after exercise, making the post-workout period an especially critical time for muscle-building nutrition. This is why it's often recommended to consume a protein-rich meal or shake within a couple of hours after your resistance training session. The combination of exercise-induced signaling and dietary protein leads to a greater muscle-building response than either would alone. Studies have consistently shown that people who combine resistance training with proper protein intake experience more muscle growth and strength gains compared to those who rely on either nutrition or exercise alone. It's also important to recognize that resistance training doesn't just build muscle, it strengthens your bones, improves your balance, and enhances your metabolic health. It's one of the most potent interventions we have for slowing the aging process and maintaining functional independence as we get older. Unlike some forms of exercise that primarily benefit the cardiovascular system, resistance training directly targets the muscles and bones that support every movement you make. The best part, resistance training doesn't require fancy equipment or hours in the gym. It can be as simple as bodyweight exercises at home, push-ups, squats, lunges, and planks. For those new to resistance training, starting with lighter loads and gradually increasing the challenge is key. The body's adaptation is driven by the consistency of the stimulus, regular workouts that progressively get a little harder over time. For older adults, resistance training becomes even more critical. As we age, our bodies become less responsive to the anabolic signals from protein alone. Exercise acts as the catalyst that resensitizes aging muscles, allowing them to respond more effectively to the protein and leucine consumed. This means that combining strength training with high-quality protein sources isn't just an option, it's essential for anyone looking to stave off sarcopenia and maintain the muscle mass needed for lifelong health and independence. Ultimately, resistance training is the spark that ignites the muscle-building process. It's not just about lifting weights, it's about signaling to your body that you're committed to strength, resilience, and longevity. When paired with smart nutrition, it becomes a transformative force, empowering you to build the strong, healthy body you need to thrive at every stage of life. One of the most exciting aspects of combating sarcopenia and supporting muscle health is the role of specific nutrients that go beyond just protein. While protein, particularly leucine, forms the foundation of muscle growth and repair, certain micronutrients and compounds act as crucial cofactors and catalysts in this process. Among these, creatine and omega-3 fatty acids have emerged as powerful allies in the fight against muscle loss and in the quest for enhanced performance and longevity. Creatine is a naturally occurring compound found primarily in meat and fish, and it's also synthesized in small amounts by the human body. It's stored in muscle cells as phosphocreatine, where it plays a vital role in rapidly regenerating ATP, the main energy currency of the cell during short bursts of intense activity. This quick energy boost is why creatine has long been a staple supplement for athletes and weightlifters. But what's fascinating is that creatine's benefits extend far beyond the gym. Research has shown that creatine supplementation can directly support muscle mass and strength, especially when combined with resistance training. It works by allowing you to perform more repetitions or lift slightly heavier loads, thereby amplifying the stimulus for muscle growth over time. What's even more compelling is the growing evidence that creatine has cognitive and neurological benefits. Emerging research suggests it can support brain energy metabolism, reduce mental fatigue, and potentially play a role in protecting against neurodegenerative diseases. This underscores the idea that creatine isn't just for athletes, it's a holistic nutrient that supports both muscle and brain health, especially valuable as we age. Omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA found in fatty fish like salmon and sardines, are another group of nutrients that play a significant role in muscle health. These fatty acids are best known for their anti-inflammatory properties and cardiovascular benefits, but they also exert direct effects on muscle tissue. Studies have shown that omega-3s can enhance muscle protein synthesis by making muscle cells more responsive to anabolic signals from leucine and exercise. This is crucial because as we age, our muscles become less sensitive to these signals, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. Omega-3s also support muscle cell membrane integrity and help reduce chronic inflammation, which can otherwise interfere with muscle recovery and growth. By incorporating omega-3 rich foods or supplements into your diet, you're essentially creating a more favorable environment for your muscles to thrive. It's a synergistic effect. Omega-3s make your muscle cells more receptive, while leucine and resistance training provide the signal to grow. Beyond creatine and omega-3s, other nutrients like vitamin D, magnesium and zinc also play supporting roles in muscle health. Vitamin D, for example, has been shown to influence muscle strength and function, while magnesium and zinc are involved in the enzymatic reactions that drive muscle contraction and repair. These micronutrients highlight that muscle health isn't just about one nutrient or one exercise routine. It's a multifaceted system that depends on the interplay of many different factors. What all of this points to is a holistic approach to muscle health. While protein remains the cornerstone, these enhancer nutrients provide the finishing touches that help you maximize your efforts in the gym and at the dinner table. By integrating creatine, omega-3s, and key micronutrients into your diet, you're giving your body every possible advantage to build and maintain muscle mass. This isn't just about short-term gains, it's about laying a foundation for lifelong strength, resilience, and the ability to move and live with confidence and independence as the years go by. In the quest to rebuild muscle and defeat sarcopenia, we must recognize the profound interplay of nutrition, exercise, and specific nutrients that collectively determine our muscle health and, by extension, our vitality and longevity. As we've explored, muscle is far more than just an aesthetic feature. It's a metabolic engine, a protective shield, and a powerful organ of communication within the body. Preserving and building muscle is therefore one of the most impactful strategies we have for promoting a longer, healthier life. Central to this mission is the understanding of leucine, the amino acid that acts as the key to unlocking muscle protein synthesis. Ensuring that every meal delivers enough leucine-rich protein to meet the muscle's anabolic threshold is a strategy supported by a wealth of scientific evidence. It's not just about how much protein you eat, it's about how you distribute it throughout the day, hitting that crucial threshold at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Equally important is the role of resistance training. Exercise is the catalyst that makes all this possible, providing the essential mechanical signal that tells your body it's time to build and strengthen muscle. By challenging your muscles through resistance-based exercise, you amplify the power of protein, harnessing a synergy that unlocks your body's natural ability to adapt and thrive. But the story doesn't end there. We've also seen how nutrients like creatine and omega-3 fatty acids provide critical support to these processes, enhancing muscle sensitivity and recovery, and even extending their protective effects to your brain and cardiovascular system. These are the hidden allies that make a real difference when combined with a foundation of balanced protein intake and resistance exercise. The key takeaway is that muscle health is not just a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. Every meal, every workout, and every nutrient you prioritize sends a message to your body that you're committed to strength, resilience, and vitality. This isn't just about preventing muscle loss, it's about creating a body that can support the life you want to lead well into your later years. By integrating these principles, prioritizing leucine-rich protein at every meal, engaging in regular resistance training, and leveraging the power of supportive nutrients like creatine and omega-3s, you're laying a strong foundation for the future. You're not just fighting sarcopenia, you're building a robust, resilient body that's primed for health, independence, and longevity. And that's the true power of understanding and optimizing your muscle health.
So let's take action. Let's see muscle not just as a cosmetic goal, but as a foundation for lifelong health. Because the science is in, and it's time to rebuild.